Sophie Krosen. I'm an occasional teacher with the Toronto District School Board, and I also work creating the professional development workshops for teachers, occasional teachers in Toronto. A lot of students, especially in grades 7 and 8, have trouble with expressing themselves. So they might choose to use vandalism as a way to express themselves. So, I mean, the school boards or teachers, a challenge they would face would be how to channel that need for self-expression into something productive and use graffiti as a form of art as opposed to just vandalism, which is a problem with students. I don't think that's going to go anywhere, and I think that, again, teaching at the elementary level, so, getting them at the grades 6, 7, 8 level, and perhaps, as I've heard the term used, re-educating them around how they can use art to express themselves differently. Getting them at that younger age to help them learn that is going to derail it as it might progress further when they get into high school, and that sort of need for independence and stronger, even maybe arguably a stronger self-expression is more prevalent as they get older. Give students that experience of being able to use this type of art, so in this case graffiti art, productively. And I think that having someone, say a graffiti artist, come in will not only tap into the students who were the ones who were tagging, because it gives them a different way to write graffiti art, but it's also going to perhaps inspire or at least get other kids thinking who weren't even artistically inclined, because a lot of youth feel like art, you need to be able to produce something that looks like something. The idea of abstract art, which I think graffiti is a lot about, isn't really pushed a lot. And bringing in someone who shows them that creativity doesn't mean inside the lines, it can be outside of the lines, you're going to hit some of the kids who thought that they weren't artists or couldn't be artists. When I taught summer school this summer, it was for grade 4 and 5, and I had a friend who was a graffiti artist. We collaborated and came up with an idea that would assist students it would assist students to have an outlet for their creative ideas, but within the learning environment. So, my experience with students, especially in some of the lower income areas, is that they mimic what they see going on with their older brothers and sisters, and vandalism, unfortunately, is a large part of that. So I thought, well, how can I use this time I have in summer school to get the kids excited about learning, but also to tap into what they're experiencing in their home environment or in their environmental space. So I talked with my friend, and we decided that creating an experience for them with a local artist that would not only be a way for them to express themselves through art, but to collaborate with that local artist and feel a sense of, I don't really know how to say it, when you work with someone who's a well-known artist or who is an established artist, it creates a sense of validity to what you're doing. So, at 4 and 5, at the age of, 9, 10, and 11, they're not sure that their art is any good. But when you have an artist there with them, specifically an urban artist, someone that they can maybe relate to, they can relate to the type of art that they see in their environment, and then they have someone here who creates that type of art in a real and meaningful way, you get kids who get excited about expressing themselves in a different way than they might normally have thought to. And then when you bring when you have their artwork layered with the sort of the local talent or the community artists, the outcome was amazing. The kids were amazed at their art. We kept an environmental theme. They created the background, and we had the artist basically tag their name on top. And the kids they said, "This looks so professional. It looks so cool. It looks so. I want to show my mom." And their parents will get to see, because it's going to be displayed up in the art, all the different individual canvases in a collaborative art setting in the school. I think there's a lot of work to be done in rebranding the idea of graffiti art, because it does have that type of negative, rebellious connotation. And if you want to change that, the place to start is with youth. And it is connecting urban artists, street artists, who are the ones who've lived with that reputation. It's connecting those, but who want to change that. So it's connecting those people, like the Bench program is aiming to do, with youth, starting young in re-educating them, or again, rebranding the idea of graffiti art. And also, when you get at kids from the side, instead of whacking them over the head with what you're trying to say, or some sort of, bringing in an artist who paints, or sort of the regular mainstream artist, when you kind of get at them from the side, they are more inclined to be on side with you, with what you're saying, buy into what you're saying, and to sort of get excited, because kids, they do kind of like the idea of rebellion, because that's what, from basically grade 6 on to high school, they're testing out the boundaries of where they're allowed to go, what they're allowed to say, how they're allowed to be, who they are, defining who they are. And when they get to meet someone who sort of is outside the boundaries of what is not normal, but what is accepted, but then they see that person or those group of artists view what they're doing in a positive light, that they're trying to enact greater social change, social things for better causes. I'm kind of losing myself here, but basically what I'm trying to say is, when you talk to students from a place that they can access, like local community artists, that isn't someone just talking down to them, because that's kind of what you're going to get when you have someone who has had to live with a reputation that is less than desirable. They kind of tap into that, and they get excited, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of talking to someone who, is outside the realm of what's acceptable, but look, this person is trying to create and affect good change through art." Well, it depends how much Wallnoize does to promote graffiti art in the way that or any art really, but you're talking about graffiti art specifically, to rebrand. I keep using that word, but to create a different understanding around what graffiti art is. Yes, before I had any experience with a new type of understanding about graffiti art, I thought graffiti was vandalism, was tagging. And all those big wall murals, they were artists that did that. But an overlap of the two, or an integration of all those beautiful wall murals and tagging, didn't exist on my sort of knowledge level, embarrassing as it is to say. But having a group of people, the team of Wallnoize, any artists who are willing to dedicate themselves to showing people that these two things can exist, and that it doesn't have to be beautiful art and tagging. In the next few years, maybe it's possible that graffiti can become art, and that would be a mainstream understanding of it.